Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. How are you doing today? Ready for some drama from Askalawyer? Let's go to the first one, about OP's parents, who demands OP lie to her relatives about them borrowing money from her and threatening to disown her if she won't. Listen to the story to find out all the details, and of course to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, 23 female, live with my boyfriend Josh, 25, and are getting married soon. So after he proposed to me, I moved in with him. I'm basically from a well-off family. My parents got a huge inheritance. I have no idea how much they got, but my share from it, my maternal grandparents' will, came around $90,000 in cash, plus a fully furnished house and 2 cars. But I guess my parents got a lot more than me and my siblings, because my mom was very close with her parents. But for some reason, she grew apart from her 6 siblings who lived across the states. One day, my dad knocked on my door and asked me if I could lend him $30,000 for his business. He said he was caught up in some partnership and needed some money, and that he felt a bit awkward asking Mom. I was like, "She's your wife. You have all the right to ask her." But no, he insisted that I give him. I wrote a check for $30,000, and he went away happily. 2 months later, my mom visited me saying Dad had invested in some big business and is awaiting some real big progress. She assured me she would definitely repay me and asked me to lend her $15,000. Of course, she's my mom, and growing up I had a very good bond with her, so I didn't hesitate. I gave her the money, but my gut kicked in. I immediately called my parents a week later and asked them to sign an agreement stating the stipulated time they would repay me. I need this money because Josh and I have planned to start a family-owned bakery soon. His family is supportive and well off, but we decided to launch our own careers, businesses. So here's how it played out. My parents kept postponing the signatures, and since I got busy with my work, I almost let it slide. But one day, I got a call from one of my uncles who slammed me on the phone for making my parents homeless and destitute. I was like, what? Later, he sent me a video of them begging him for money by putting me in a bad light. I confronted them with the footage, and they confessed that they pretended to be destitute so that they could get financial help from our aunts. Even worse, my dad had lied that I took all their inheritance and kicked them out of their house. Shockingly, only 2 of my aunts had helped my parents with money, while the others didn't return their calls. I don't know how to proceed from here because my parents have lied for money. With my marriage ahead in a couple of months, I told my parents to not come until they stopped begging and return my money. And I sent word to all my relatives about what was happening. Now, my parents are mad at me and threaten to disown me if I don't tell my relatives I lied they were pretending to be destitute. But I closed my doors on my parents because I don't want to ruin my name to save their butts. Am I the a-hole? I don't think OP will ever receive the money, and they're probably in great financial trouble. But that is not OP's problem. It is up to OP if she will forgive them. But they are the ones in the wrong here, not OP. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Space Crazy Artist says, "So your parents are grifters, and you think you're the a-hole? Why do you think you're the a-hole? What did you do that's an a-hole move? Also, never lend out money if you think you're getting it back. Relatives will always say they're going to pay out back, but that isn't reality. So if you need the money for something else, like to live or a wedding, then don't lend it out, even to parents. Most definitely not the a-hole." So says, "Not the a-hole, of course, but you'll never see that money again, and you shouldn't see them either." Coffee and Crime Global says, "Not the a-hole. Sounds as if your parents were trying to get your inheritance back off you, perhaps believing it should only have been paid to the first generation. They were working as a team. First Dad pops up with a question, and then Mom." My dad is married to Emma. Emma has a son, Noah, 7, and a daughter, Lauren, 5. Emma and my dad have told the kids my dad is their dad, which isn't true biologically. Emma was married before. Her first husband and her were going through a divorce when he died, and because Noah and Lauren were young enough to not remember him, and she met my dad so soon after, they decided they never needed to know the truth about their bio dad. She went as far as to move to a state where grandparents' rights are near impossible to get, because she doesn't want his family involved either, and not because they are terrible people, but because her first husband was a mistake, and she doesn't want her kids growing up to have any kind of love or wish for a man she regrets being with. So my dad adopted them, and they've been creating all these stories, like how old photos of their early babyhood got destroyed and no copies are around, and how my dad was there for all their births. It's weird as duck, and I noped out and asked to live with my mom, who fought for that when crap went down. Problem is, the kids think I'm their half-sister, and I refuse to lie, so I'm not around them. I also don't see my dad often. He'll often tell me I should babysit and hang out with him, and act like a regular member of the family. No lie needed. I said hell no. That I'm not getting into some complicated lie, and I'm not going to act like I held them when they were born, and loved them from the time I heard Emma was pregnant with them. Something they have been told by Emma and my dad. My dad's family all go along with it. I won't. It has also meant in emergencies I've let them just figure it out. Sometimes Emma has missed work, or stuff has fallen apart, because I wouldn't step in when I'm not in school, or when I was remote learning. I know the kids are confused about my absence, but I'm not touching it with a barge pole. So here's the deal. My dad and Emma are going to a wedding Saturday. He asked me to babysit weeks ago, and I said no. My grandma told me the kids always ask for me, and want me as the babysitter, not them, and I should do it because even if we don't share blood, they are legally my siblings now, and I should be involved. I told them it's not going to happen. My dad then called and yelled at me for saying no, because when he had to tell the kids, they cried, and asked why I didn't want to babysit them, and how the hell is he supposed to answer? Am I the a-hole? Oof. It is one thing to have them call him dad, and he adopt them in this situation. But cutting off the old family and making up lies about the past isn't cool. They're pretty likely to find out eventually, and will resent everyone who is partaking in this charade. OP is definitely not in the wrong here for avoiding it. I am sad for the kids, but I don't blame OP at all for not wanting to be a part of it. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Master Manipulation says, not the a-hole. This is one messed up lie that once the kids learn the truth, because they will eventually, is going to mess them up. Avebury1 says, not the a-hole. When the kids reach legal age, I would gift the entire family with those DNA tests. Won't it be fun to learn about our ancestry? I would be that petty, because the children are being denied half of their family. Of course, OP could contact their paternal grandparents and arrange a meet and greet. Sure, I will babysit for you. Tessa55 says, not the a-hole. My mother and stepfather did the same thing to me and my brother. My bio dad abandoned us. However, we were lied to from the beginning. My brother never forgave Mom till the day he died. Your father and wife will really pay when, not if they find out. My grandfather passed away at the age of 97. 56 of those years were spent married to my grandmother, 90 female. Before that, my grandfather had a first marriage to another woman, and from that union, a pair of twins, Stephen and Sean, both 77 male, were born. My grandfather and his first wife divorced when the twins turned 18. My grandfather met my grandmother 3 years after her divorce. From the beginning of their relationship, neither of the twins accepted my grandmother. When my grandmother and grandfather got married, Stephen and Sean cut off permanent contact with my grandfather. He always made attempts to contact them, but the twins always rejected him. My grandfather's funeral was held yesterday. My grandmother was inconsolable, and the whole family absolutely destroyed. I, 19 male, was in charge of, so to speak, the door security, as the funeral home did not provide one. To my utter surprise, Steve and Sean showed up at the funeral with all of their families, wives, children, and grandchildren. Neither my family nor I know any of these people, except for the twins. They showed up and asked to please be allowed to come inside, but I didn't let them pass since my grandmother was inside. My reasoning is that, 1, the twins treated my grandmother horrible, and their absence tortured my grandfather all his life. My grandmother also resents herself terribly, since she thinks she is the reason why the twins went no contact with Grandpa. I know that if my grandma went to see the twins, she would be absolutely devastated. 2, I think that someone who hasn't talked to my grandfather for more than half a century has the right to say goodbye to him. I offered to call them when my grandma left the place so they could pay their respects, but they refused. I also told them that if they could wait a few hours until most of the people left, I would let them come in, but they refused anyway. They wanted to go inside now. In the end, they ended up leaving the place incredibly angry and super mad at me, since I wouldn't budge. Somehow the twins' family found my social media, and now their children and grandchildren keep sending me messages about how I denied the twins the opportunity to make up for their mistake and say goodbye to the person they love the most. My father and uncle thanked me for trying to protect my grandmother, and they say they will defend me from anyone who speaks ill of my actions. but the messages from the twins' family really cut deep into me, and I feel like an a-hole. OP didn't deny them entrance. OP gave them an opportunity to come back later, so it wouldn't upset his grandmother or the other family members, but they rejected it. Their pride is what got in the way, much as it sounds like it did when OP's grandfather was alive. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Flyhro says, as much as they have some right to pay their respect to their father, say goodbye, etc., you offered it to them. You didn't offer it to them on their terms, but we don't negotiate with terrorists. You don't sound like you were being spiteful or vindictive or anything. You were being protective of your elderly and distraught grandmother, while also somehow remaining respectful to these people who you don't really have any reason to respect. Sounds like you handled this like a champ, not the a-hole. Grounded55 says, not the a-hole. The twins' actions speak for themselves. Your alternatives to them entering while your grandmother was there were generous. And a wife of 56 years deserves more accommodation and protection than two people who hadn't spoken to the deceased for over 50 years before his death and never accepted his second wife. They were putting on a show with their families, and what they would likely have said to your grandmother isn't pretty. Good for you. Baz the Baptist says, not the a-hole. If they wanted to make up for their mistake, they should have done it while he was alive. Funerals are for the living, and them being there would have upset the already grieving family. These people are nothing to you or anyone there, by the sounds of it. Good call. Block them all. Almost 2 months ago, my younger sister, 23, aka Lucy for this, and her fiancé held a big dinner event with all of our family, his family, our mutual friends, their friends, and every soul she knew, because they had some big news they wanted to tell everyone. They found out a few weeks prior that they are expecting. Of course, we were all very, very excited for them. As soon as everything settled down, Lucy then stood up and made a toast to me. She said she was thankful for having a bigger in size and in heart sister like me to gift my wedding dress to her, since she is getting married in November. I'm only 136 and did not think I was actually fat at the time. I, shocked and embarrassed, tried to ask her what she means by that as polite as possible. My stepmom responded with, "Don't worry, it's just one of those sister teasings you have never been able to comprehend, and for all of us to talk about it later." It was all too much for me, and I was humiliated by everything and burst into tears in front of everyone and went to the bathroom, while my stepmom said, "See?" and mocked me and telling me to grow up. They both did end up coming into the bathroom after 30 minutes. Lucy said I ruined the most exciting news of a lifetime, but could not possibly understand that, since me and my fiancé want to continue a child-free lifestyle. I asked her much more rudely why the hell she thought I would be giving her my wedding dress. Apparently, her and my stepmom had talked and decided that since my wedding was not until March, and since I am fatter than them, I would not mind just loaning my dress, that I have not even picked up yet from alterations, or buying another one, since I had saved and invested with my big degrees into my wedding, that I can afford special alterations. I double majored in aerospace engineering and theater, and my fiancé majored into physics and philosophy. Thanks to my degree and skills, I designed my wedding dress. Both of them have always hated this. She also said it was okay if it was not altered, because I'm so much bigger, there would not be any alterations needed for her to fit my dress. I told her absolutely not. Lucy then said that if I didn't give it to her, then I'm no longer a bridesmaid. I told her that's fine and left the bathroom. Everyone except my dad, Lucy's fiancé, and my fiancé left. They consoled me and said they would talk to my stepmom and sister about everything, and I left. The next day, both my sister and my stepmom blew up my phone, saying I am destroying the family and clearly don't care about my soon-to-be niece or nephew by not allowing my sister to have my dress. I never responded, and ended up getting a group of family and Lucy's friends on their side harassing me on social media, phone, email, and in person for a week. It only stopped because my brother-in-law told Lucy he would be leaving her if she did not cut it out. Things have been quiet ever since then, until tonight, when I got a call from my sister saying she has scheduled an A tomorrow for her baby girl, since she can't fit into her dress. She then said that I could stop all of this if I just honored her simple request of giving her my dress. This is where I am for sure not just wrong, but a major B. I don't care if a person gets an A or not. What you do with your body is up to you, and I don't blame anyone for getting one done. From experience, making that decision is one of the hardest things to make in life. But it did piss me off. and I told her that if she was terminating her baby over a dress, then she does not deserve to have any children, and her baby girl can be a gift from God to another person who will actually love her and not place fabric over her. She responded, "Since I'm child-free, I don't know what a good parent is, the length of a mother's love, or be able to provide that for kids, and could never be better than her." I hung up on her, and she sent me a text with a picture of document showing when, where, and time of the appointment. The text said I had until 11:30 a.m., the time of the appointment, to change my mind. I called her fiancé and told him everything, and sent him screenshots of the text she sent me. He said he had no clue about the A or the gender of their baby, and was going straight home to talk to her about it. They did get into a huge fight, and now my brother-in-law is staying in our guest room for a while, and, very understandably, looks very red and swollen in the face from crying. None of us can sleep now. While I questioned her moral choice to pick fabric over a baby, it's the same question I'm asking myself. It feels extreme for me to be this protective over it, and at the cost of a baby that is wanted, already loved by us, and can be given a great life with a great father. Am I the a-hole? I honestly am thinking about just giving in and giving her my dress, but I just have to get some outside views and input on this situation. Any thoughts would be very helpful, and thank you so much in advance. Just an old baby boomer says, "If you give in to this outrageous manipulative demand, then where will this entitled be stop?" Brick Only 2010 says, "Absolutely do not give in. She is taking emotional manipulation to ridiculous lengths. And you are correct. If she is capable of making threats like this, she is not capable of being a good parent. I feel so awful for poor brother-in-law, but maybe he needs to reconsider his whole marriage." Benny212 says, "Sounds to me like little sister and stepmother are very entitled and love to play toxic games to get what they want, no matter who gets hurt in the process. They deserve each other. OP is better off without them in her life. I can't even begin to imagine the chaos they will pre-plan and cause at OP's wedding after this."